What up, y'all? It's your boy, the MMA Cannibal. We just had UFC 304 go down yesterday. Pretty solid card. Quite a few decisions. Did end up going over the time and cutting into the pay-per-view window a little bit, which was pretty funny. But the finishes we did have did come pretty early. Ended up saving us because we had plenty of time to watch everything. And few big results that came out of this and a few solid performances. And without further ado, I'm going to just get straight into my reactions and breakdown for this fight. Card, I should say. Starting off, main event, UFC Welterweight Championship. Belal Muhammad is now the official welterweight champion of the world. Great performance from Belal. Really just a great performance from him. People were calling the fight boring. Watching it live, it wasn't boring. In my opinion anyways. Because I'm sitting there going, oh my god, Belal's going to do it. Belal's going to do it. And I'm waiting, Leon is having his moments occasionally. He took a round here and there. But for the most part, this is a fight I'm not going to ever rewatch. I know on the rewatch it's going to be boring as hell. But watching it on the first time around, very entertaining. Big upset, very surprising to watch that. And see that go down. I mean, Belal just picking him up like it's nothing. Dropping him like it's nothing. Right on his head. Talk about headshot dead. And outstriking him. It was sloppy. It wasn't clean. But it wasn't that sloppy, actually. He was just throwing way more volume. And being way more active. His jab was out there 24/7. He was smacking Leon with the straights all night. And every time a round started, Belal was at Leon's feet immediately. I mean, you should see Belal is running to the center at the beginning of every single round and taking his ground and keeping it. His pressure was absolutely insane. Leon had no heart in that cage. And it's such a crazy performance to see, not only from Belal, given that he's never really looked that crazy before in EPO. Maybe. I'm not accusing. I'm just saying it looks a little suspicious. But, I mean, holy crap. Insane cardio. By the end of the fifth, he still looked like he could have kept going. In total control the whole time, really. Leon took the third round. And the fifth round, arguably, you could have given it to him because of the cuts right at the end. I saw some people complaining about the 4-1 scorecard online. Personally, I have it scored 4-1 as well. I still give that fifth round to Belal, fourth, the first, and the second. Leon just really had nothing out there. It barely looked like he tried. His boxing was terrible going up against Belal, and he just wasn't able to stuff any of the takedowns. I think he stuffed one, maybe two. But Belal was shooting so many of them, and every time he got one, they were such power bomb, pick up and drop them. That, even if Leon did stuff 2 or 3 attempts before that, by the time Belal finally got it, it was holy crap. That's an important takedown. That's the kind that you score for damage. Really just insane performance overall. It was very shocking. And, I knew Belal had a chance to win. It really just seemed like he was a worse version of Leon in every aspect. So, great for him. Very impressive. And, happy. He's not happy, but, good for him that he's won the title. I'm sure he's happy. He got to become champion before his career was over. And, in terms of the division as a whole, this really isn't all that bad. I do think Belal will be more active than Leon, even as a champ. And Leon as a contender, maybe he'll have a fire under him to try and get his belt back again. That could be fun. But after seeing this too now, I almost like the idea of, Belal Shavkat seems like a more fun fight than Leon Shavkat would have been. Belal JDM, sign me up. Honestly, sign me up. If Belal fights like that again, sign me up. I'm not going to act like I'm a Belal fan now, but a couple more performances like that, I'm all for it. I am all for it. I won't pull a DC and forget the name. Let's just say that. That was crazy that he forgot the name and announced Leon Edwards was the champ. That's so funny. But yeah, Great performance from Bilal. Surprised he didn't get a performance of the night bonus. I mean, they really just hate Bilal. That's crazy. He totally deserved one for that. Moving along, though, co-main event, Tom Aspinall performed, delivered every time. This man, best finisher in the UFC, the future of heavyweight. Nothing wrong against Curtis Blades. I like him. He's a chill dude. But this fight, this was the one that mattered to me the most. Because if Tom Aspinall lost, the John Jones Twitter rant would have been insufferable. Would have been insufferable. Okay, this man has now defended his interim belt. John Jones has no excuse. The only thing he can say is, I want to fight Stipe and retire because I'm scared. That's it. That's the only reason. He called out John Jones in his post-fight interview. Tom is begging for this fight. I can't believe Dana White with the glazing. John Jones must have some sort of dirt on Dana. It's crazy. But we're not here to think about any of that. I'm just going to live in this moment. Tom Aspinall won. Woohoo. 1 minute in. Curtis landed a few solid shots. Tom Aspinall's striking defense, seems like it could definitely use some work because he also ate some shots from Sergey Pavlovich in their fight. His chin seems solid as a rock because he ate all of those shots very well and delivered one right back. Minute into the fight, I mean, holy crap, this dude is doing it every time to top contenders, Volkov, Pavlovich, Blades, finishing them. Shortest average fight time in UFC history. Tom Aspinall, this is generational talent right now. This is the heavyweight king. And I will not take any shit. I will not take anyone else. Gone. Get him out of here. Pavlovich, gone. Volkov, gone. They're done. Tom Aspinall is here to stay. Oh my god, dude. I am so high on him. As much as I think the heavyweight division as a whole is pretty awful, there's a few solid ones right at the top. And Tom Aspinall is a piece of gold, a diamond, bro, in that rough division. Rough division. This is an incredible man right here. Not to glaze too hard. That sounded really sus. No Jones, no Diddy. But, oh my god. I just put him on any event, and I am there. I'm very happy he won. Also happy Paddy Pimblett got this submission. That's another pick of mine that went right. A lot of people were picking Bobby. I could see why you would have picked Bobby based off Paddy's striking performance against Jared Gordon. Bobby's known to be a good striker. But the reasons to pick Bobby, really, that was about as deep as they went. Because Bobby's a little chinny. Paddy's got a solid chin. Paddy's got some power behind his shots too. So there's no reason for you to think that Bobby's going to knock out Paddy before Paddy could get some sort of, overhand bomb landed on Green in the meanwhile. And when it comes to the grappling, I mean, as we saw in this fight, Paddy is levels above Green. He's levels. Just because Bobby submitted Tony Ferguson doesn't mean anything. So, I think most people were just picking Bobby. This is kind of an MVP Ian Gary situation where even though MVP actually proved that it made a lot of sense for a lot of people to pick him, I feel like a lot of people were picking MVP because they didn't like Ian Gary. Here, I felt like it was the same deal. A lot of people were picking Bobby because they didn't like Paddy. But yeah, fact of the matter is, he's got a little bit of plot armor, and Bobby's old. And, even though he's kept his speed pretty well throughout the whole, throughout his whole career, even into his older age, he's never been that great. He's just never been that great. He would have been ranked already by now if he was, And, I kind of think the Grant Dawson KO was a bit of a fluke. Green really doesn't get KOs all that much, so that one, I mean, not to start shitting on Bobby Green, I love him. Entertaining fight style, very fun. But yeah, I just don't like people picking Bobby Green to win this fight. I just couldn't see what they saw. And in all fairness, in all respects, Bobby was outpointing Paddy for the majority of that first round. But again, it's the first round, and he shot a takedown on him, which just shows that Bobby probably would have done that at some point in the fight. Like an idiot. I mean, really like an idiot. I can't believe he shot a takedown. And just immediately paid the price for it. Got caught up in a guillotine. that wasn't quite there, but it was close. And then Patty worked his way around into not an arm triangle, just a regular triangle choke, and he put him to sleep. And I feel like Bobby was asleep in that triangle choke for a solid 5 to 10 seconds before the ref ended up stopping it. And it was only because Bobby didn't tap and the ref couldn't see Bobby's face to tell he was asleep. So that's another brutal finish for Bobby, to be held in a choke like that for a while after having the KOs and everything that he suffered lately. It's a rough one for Bobby. He might want to take some time off, come back in like December or January, and just find somebody outside the rankings, a good little striking matchup for himself. You know, I don't really see. Yeah, I don't know. Bobby, doomed to be an unranked floater is really what he is. You know, he had that number by his name for a while. We were all hyping him up, but that dream was short-lived. And Patty now has a name to it. Now has a number next to his name, so it opens up a lot of new options and avenues for Patty being a ranked person. I'd be curious to see where he goes. His ceiling, I feel like now is like title challenger or like top 7. I don't really know if he goes any further than that, unless we see even more improvements out of him. You know, he looked better in this fight than he looked in past fights, so I'd really like to see it. You know, I mean, when all that stuff that started to make people hate Patty started to come on, obviously I kind of hopped on that train too. But as the times passed and whatnot, I've sort of lightened up on it, and I don't really have as many problems with Patty as I do now, especially with how much he advocates for men's mental health and all that stuff. You know, very admirable of him. So yeah, good victory, good pick, and good performance. You know, nice to see. Gregory Rodriguez basically just schooled CLD for 3 rounds. He had really nothing except for the cut that he got on Obama at some point. But overall, I mean, everything on paper made Rodriguez look better than CLD, and that's exactly what the fight looked like, just a dude that was better everywhere. I went with CLD originally because I felt like there was, you know, I kind of had that gut feeling of like, oh, they put him on the main card, you know, it's going to be a scrap. I feel like this fight was inevitably going to be a scrap. He's got like a 4-inch reach advantage. Probably going to get a knockout. Did not happen. And the smart pick won, which I should have gone with, but you got to take your underdogs here and there where you can, you know. So, fun little scrap. And speaking of fun little scraps, Arnold Allen Giga Chikadze was a pretty good scrap. The fight was a lot closer than I wanted it to be, given that I took Arnold Allen by a KO finish. But, you know, Arnold Allen still won. It looked pretty solid. I wouldn't say Giga really, he had his success here and there for sure. More so in the second round than I think any other round, if I'm remembering correctly. But at the end of the day, Arnold Allen pulled out the victory and had a solid performance. Kind of a logjam at the top of that featherweight division now. I would like to see Arnold Allen probably fight the winner of like the Ortega-Lopez matchup for like a number 1 contenders fight, or a number 2 contenders fight, I guess, because there's Evloev and Sterling going on now. So a lot of things going on right at the top of that featherweight division. Arnold Allen secures his spot to sit up there for a bit longer, but I thought he would do better against Giga after the Holloway and the Evloev performances. I was definitely thinking Arnold Allen was going to put more on, but he respected the kicking of Giga Chikadze. He respected the speed. He respected the power. He fought very smartly, and I have to give him that credit for that. It was, you could tell it was really a stylistic thing because he was much more aggressive against the likes of Holloway and Evloev. So I think it was really just a stylistic thing. You could see he was circling away from the power leg of Giga most of the fight until towards the end of the fight where he started to kind of say screw it, walk into that side a little more, put more pressure on, hit him a bit more. And he really started to have a lot of success when he started doing that. But I mean, it was a little too late to really pile on more damage, but he had already clearly won the fight by that point. So I'll take it. My pick got right for partially anyways, and Yeah, solid little scrap. Another solid little scrap. There was a lot of these decisions were entertaining fights for the most part throughout. I mean, Nathaniel Wood should have finished Daniel Pineda at some point. Nothing against Daniel Wood. Pineda's tough as hell. I'm just saying, like, he had him at so many points throughout that fight where I was like, holy crap, how is Pineda still, like, in this, you know? Nathaniel Wood really just putting on a masterclass. I mean, out grappling him, out striking him, out damaging him, out everythinging him. Looked great. Love to see Nathaniel Wood getting a win again after the way he got robbed in his last few outings, you know, so awesome. Perfect prediction, Wood by decision. Love to see it. Here was like the two biggest upsets of the night, probably, which is saying something given that they're Molly McCann, Callan Loughran. But, you know, a lot of people were picking McCann by a finish, myself included. Bruna Brazil, I mean, where did she come from? Where did this type of performance come from? She absolutely brutalized Molly. I mean, shades of Blachowicz Reyes in those body kicks. Shades of Barboza Hooker in the way that Molly was reacting to those body kicks. I mean, that was crazy. And it just feels like it came out of nowhere. Apparently, Bruna Brazil is part of the Fighting Nerds team, which I did not know. I maybe would have picked her if I'd known that. When you look at her record, it's nothing impressive. So she must have joined that team recently, because that performance couldn't have been anything like she was performing before. Otherwise, I think we'd be talking about her. So, I mean, really just impressive. I think kind of put a lot of eyes on her for sure. I don't know if we're really expecting anything all that great yet. I need to see her beat somebody that's good, not Molly McCann, but, you know, very good performance. Molly really had nothing for her the whole time, just got absolutely crushed. Hit a few reversals here and there, but really never led to anything. And just a really brutal performance from Bruna Brazil. Great victory for her. And Jake Hadley, great victory for him too. He's like 39, short notice. He did miss weight, but on short notice, on only 1 pound too. It's more forgivable. And he just perfectly stayed on that outside. Kept moving around, circling the octagon, getting his points, and really just never letting Callan land anything super clean. Callan was very stiff this whole fight. Didn't react very much. His movements were very robotic. Hadley was much more flowy, jumpy, moved around a lot more. And I think ultimately that's kind of what led him to win, is he just had more volume and stayed right on top of it with shots here and there. Callan seemed like he was trying to throw a little too perfect, and he would land now and again, but it was really no power behind most of those shots. Jake Hadley never really reacted to any of them very strongly. And yeah, I mean, gets himself a nice little dub there on short notice in home territory. You love to see it. Good for Jake Hadley. Callan's still young. He can try and make a bounce back after this, but I never thought his ceiling was all that high to begin with. Moving along, Mokaev and Kopp. I barely even want to talk about this fight. I hate both of these guys after this fight. They're both absolute bitches. They completely sold the fight. All that beef, I'm convinced, is fake now. I mean, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Throwing punches at each other at the PI, jumping each other in the hotel room, in the hotel, fighter hotel, whatever. Trying to fight each other at the weigh-in stage. Almost like getting in trouble at trying to fight each other before Bruce Buffer even did the announcements. And then as soon as the fight starts, point fighting. They literally stood there and stared at each other for the first like minute of the fight. Just circling. And then after the fight was over, they basically glazed each other. Like, they didn't just make up and like, oh yeah, we had beef, but we fought, so now we're like, you know, chilling. Like that, I don't necessarily mind. They're like glazing each other. Manel Kopp refused to pick his head up off the floor. Mokaev, you know, immediately, oh, everybody give praise to Manel Kopp and everything. It's like, bro, what is going on? Just say, you know, I respect him now as a fighter more, whatever, and then go on your thing. Like, are you kidding me? What was that performance from both of you? Manel Kopp is a bit excusable because he had a broken toe, but at the same time, you know, If you're going to have that much hatred and anger and just want to tear each other's throats out like it looked like you wanted to do, how the hell are you going to go out there and point fight? I know Dana said he basically said he's cutting Mokaev or not re-signing him, and he should find work at the PFL or whatever. It's kind of a dick move, especially coming off a win, and he's a name in the flyweight division, which is a division that could use names. For all those reasons, it kind of sucks. But could I honestly say that I'm going to miss Muhammad Mokaev? Not really. He's never really had a great, entertaining fight. This one, probably the chief example of just why it's awful, why he's so boring. I mean, this was awful, dude. This was awful. I can't believe this. Manel Kape, I mean, you're not safe from this either. You were not performing that much better. I know you had a broken toe, but dude, I mean, oh my god. At least let loose in that third round a bit more. Holy crap. That's really all I can say about this fight. I got my pick right, but I'm not happy about it. And the shit with Mokaev pulling down Manel Kape's shorts, that should have 100% been a point deduction. I can't believe they didn't take a point for that. Dude, say what you will about Mike Beltran. Oh, he gives such stern warnings. You scare him a lot. Don't want to be his kid, like the commentators are saying. Bro, shut up. Mokaev should have had a point taken for that. I mean, that was insane. He basically pantsed Manel Kape on purpose. I mean, that was on purpose, very clearly. So, yeah, for that reason as well, I'm not too upset with Muhammad Mokaev getting cut. Really just a disgraceful performance from both. I hated this fight. Oben Elliott and Preston Parsons. I'm going to wrap Butesis, Bukauskas, and Prachnio in with this one too. I didn't watch either of these fights super closely. I didn't really... These were like my two least interesting fights of the whole card. But I can basically summarize them both the same way. The person that won was basically in control for the whole fight. Bukauskas more in a grappling sense. Oben Elliott more in a striking sense. The opponent had a few good moments here and there, but for the most part, it was really just kind of a one-sided, barely dominating kind of performance. A little bit better from Oben Elliott, though. Oben Elliott had a bit more of an entertaining performance. Bukauskas, though, I mean, God, this fight, thank God it had a submission at the end, because otherwise, the full 15 minutes of this would have been dog ass. So, yeah, moving right along. Sam Patterson, Kiefer Crosby, round 1 submission. Boom. Pretty much what I predicted. This guy won his last fight by submission, lost his last fight by submission. Now the situation's just exactly the same. Still lost, still won by submission. And, Patterson looking like a solid prospect coming up. 12-2. I mean, still pretty young. What division? I don't even know what division this is. I think this is like Bantam or featherweight. So, I don't know. You always like to see somebody who's a bit of a submission expert coming up. I feel like we don't get too many of those nowadays. So, I don't mind it. I'd like to see it. I liked what he said when he got on the mic, too. He actually made some good use of his time. So, yeah, solid performance. And got my pick right there. I believe I picked Mick Parkin by a KO as well. If not, it was by a decision. Good performance from him, too. Lucas Baravisky. I mean, look at the record. Look at Mick Parkin's record. Don't need to know much more than that. I mean, Mick Parkin also trains with Tom Aspinall, same gym, if you can see the Manchester flag or UK flag. So, yeah, I definitely, just because of that alone, I would expect Mick Parkin to have a bit of a leg up on most of these unranked, low-tier heavyweights that he'll be running into. And, maybe we got something brewing here, Maybe we can have a little bit of a heavyweight prospect coming up. That isn't just Almeida and Khan, who are already at the top of the division, I'll be interested. So, keep an eye on Mick Parkin here. Sean O'Bannon looking, not great. Really, that third round started to cook, put some things together, put some nice combos, and go for some, kind of exciting shots. But she dropped that first round to Ali Sardaline, and split decision arguably lost that second round to her as well. Probably because the judges were mostly staring at all that movement back there on Alice's side. I don't know if you guys noticed that. I certainly did. But yeah, we can keep her in the UFC for a bit longer. But I did get my pick right. Sean O'Bannon by a decision. Can Crusher barely even beats a can. She couldn't even crush a can. She just kind of skated by. So, Shauna Vannon, not going to be anything in the UFC. This is an early prelim opener on a local Europe card. Is her ceiling. I don't think she goes any higher than this. I know she's only 6-1, but she is 30 years old, and I don't see her making the improvements necessary to go any higher than this. Alex Ardeline, 9-6. I mean, what do you want me to say? She's got no future in the UFC either, unless we want to give her a UFC-sponsored OnlyFans. We can do that one. But yeah, that's my breakdown for the entire fight, you guys. Pretty solid fight card through and through. Very happy the UFC was able to put this together. We enter a new welterweight age, and we maintain our hopefully golden age of heavyweight now. And yeah, let me know what you guys thought of the fight card down below. And thank you guys for watching. Stay violent.